green anacondas. Hey, sweetie, who wants to just eat? She's like, won't you just feed me? This is one of our, this is about 2 years old, one of our green anacondas. Here's one of our biggers. So this is an F2. That's an F1. And you just want to keep coming out and investigating because you're always looking for food. Hey, sweetie. So it's almost green anaconda breeding time. We're starting to wind down a little bit on our retics. And now it's blood pythons and ball pythons. Hey, sweetie. God, aren't they just awesome? So contrary to what people think, especially in captivity, if we're not making our green anacondas ridiculously huge, keeping them in a terrestrial style cage. So that means basically we're using, get the cage not to freak out. So we have a divider. And we use these shift cages, which basically allows us to manage them when we're cleaning them, or if we're keeping multiple animals together and we're doing feeding. So we'll often put the divider in there and basically manage them. But if you keep an anaconda like this and you don't get it ridiculously girthy, you know, like overdo it, so you can see my hand, they can handle this kind of situation fine. And then we generally put in water tubs like this, and they'll pretty much mess up the water tub as opposed to messing up the cage. But if you don't give them a water tub and you just give them a dish, they're obviously going to mess up the cage. But they don't need to be kept literally in water. And actually, if you keep a green anaconda in a very aquatic environment, so if you have water all the time and you're not practicing due diligence, so that means like, you know, good husbandry, like making sure the water is clean, making sure the cage has dry substrate. Anacondas, just like most snakes, if you keep them wet and dank and you don't give them the ability to dry out, they can get bacterial and fungal infections. And that can be, you know, certainly not great for the animal, and they don't do well with that kind of situation. So using lots of paper, we buy, look at that big monstrous stack of paper. But we try to keep these guys clean, and that's basically the way to do it. Clean and dry, giving them a water environment where they can go and sit. They'll sit in a water dish, they'll sit in a water bin, and but when they're not doing that, they're sitting on paper. And anacondas don't want to be overly hot. They seem to do really well. Ambient temperatures right around 84 degrees, and a hot spot that gets them up into the lower 90s is quite adequate for keeping these guys. If you keep them too hot, they seem to get a little bit. You can see that they're not happy because they are an aquatic species. So I think their average ambient temperature is cooler being in a water environment versus being out on land all the time where they would get warm. So they don't seem to really like to get as hot as some other snakes. Be very curious. Hi. All right, I guess I'll say. You're just gonna keep. If somebody, if you like anacondas, I did a video, maybe 2 weeks ago, where I was playing with an anaconda, and the animal was so curious and wanting to eat. It extended itself almost like 5 feet out of its bin, and it was amazing. Just, you know, that display of power. But look how pretty. It's just like the contrast on that. That to me is very classic what a green anaconda should look like. And forgive me on the background noise. This is my employees. Say goodbye, Slayer.